So there is no secret that impressions have gone down significantly on LinkedIn over the past 12 months. Actually, 95% of all of us creators are experiencing a decrease of over 50% compared to the views and engagement that we got a year ago. It seems to be the new normal. And I honestly think that if you compare to other platforms like Facebook or Instagram, for example, it is still so much easier to get eyes on your content. But in today's video, I am going to show you how you can increase your impressions, even if it feels as if no one is watching at the moment. My name is Josephine Warner, and I help my clients to build engaged audiences on LinkedIn. And that is exactly what impressions mean. The more engaged your audience is, the more impressions you will get. Impressions mean the number of people that have seen your content, and the more people that like your content, engage in your content, meaning they leave comments on your content, or they reshare your content, the more impressions you will get. However, there is no correlation between number of likes or number of comments that you get on your posts, but there is no correlation between the impressions and the number of people that you have in your following or the number of people that give you a like or a comment. Just to mention an example, so I have around 9,000 followers at the moment, and one of my clients has approximately the same number of followers. We posted at the same time. My post got more likes and more comments than his post got. I got 20,000 views, which in today's environment is actually pretty good. His post, though, took off and got over 160,000 views, right? It doesn't matter if you have 1,000 followers, 500 followers, or 10,000 followers. If no one is seeing what it is that you're doing, then you're just posting for no one. That is why we want to get as many people as possible to see your content. And in this video, I'm going to help you to actually define those things that you might be missing at the moment and that you then can improve and maybe change. And then you will see that your impressions increase. I was hosting a presentation, a live event, and in the audience, there was this woman, and she raised her hand and she said, "How do I increase the engagement on my post?" And the very first question I ask then is, how much do you yourself engage in other people's posts? If you don't engage in other people's posts, meaning if you don't give anyone else a like, if you don't give anyone else a comment, if you don't send anyone else a direct message, then no one will return that favor to you. So that is where you start. Start by engaging in other people's content. And then we're going to make it easy for people to engage in your content. And there are some things that I really want you to think about when you write your posts or when you create your videos, for example. Let's start with the posts. Write simple and easy. From a copywriter perspective, what we often say there is that the text that you're writing should be so that a 12-year-old could actually read it and understand it. And that means don't use any complicated language. Don't use only industry terms or abbreviations, because if you make your audience that they have to guess, they will probably not want to comment on your stuff. They might comment on something that is completely different compared to what it was that you actually asked in your post. Make it easy for people to comment and like your posts. What is easy to like and comment on? Well, if you share something, it's interesting, it's inspiring and motivational, that actually increases the engagement significantly. Let's assume you have something, a report you just read, and it's super inspiring to you, and you think that this is something that your audience could really like too. Then add that in your post. Why is this important to you? And why do you think that your audience would really benefit from reading this report too? I'm putting this out here, but what's in it for my audience? What's in it for them? Why is it important for them to actually read this now? If you're only chasing engagement, which I would advise you to not do, sharing something really polarizing can be a good way to go. Sharing polarizing content is also a way to divide your audience so that you know that those people that you have in your audience, those who comment and like and engage in that polarizing content, those are your people. Those are the ones that you really want to connect with, and you want to continue the discussion in the direct messages. One thing to also think about, I think that is probably the hardest part to actually create, is to create fun content. We love to have fun, we love to laugh, we love to giggle. And if you can help someone to have a small giggle throughout the day when they are scrolling their feed on LinkedIn, you can be sure that they will start looking at your content. And that is another way to actually create impressions on your content. Because just because someone doesn't like it or comment on it doesn't mean that they read it, right? All these observers that you have, and some people call them lurkers, they are seeing your content, but they might not be the ones who actually like and comment on it. And that is why it's so important that you connect with other people who are active on the platform, who are active commenters. So when you connect with new people, make sure you connect with others who are often on the platform and who actually comment on other people's posts, because that will then help your audience to see that there are things going on in your post. That will help your audience to see that things are going on in your post. And what also happens then is that the person who comments on your post, their audience will actually see that they commented on your post, so you will automatically gain a bigger audience. I would also suggest that you keep your posts shorter. You don't need to write a novel. You don't need to teach everything you know in one single post. Rather keep it shorter, keep it to the point so that people can engage in it. If you find that, oh, I have so much more to say, you can add that in the comment section underneath. You can continue teaching or sharing in the comment section. If you feel that you have so much more to say, then I would actually suggest that you start a newsletter instead, and you use the LinkedIn newsletter for your long form content. Okay, so we spoke about how to structure your post. Also think in terms of formatting. Make it easy for people to read and actually skim through your post so they can comment on it with something meaningful. That means make it easy to read, add a lot of white space in between, use emojis where it makes sense, do not overuse the emojis, and then you make it, as I said, easy for people. And when you post, make sure that you are there. You can absolutely schedule your post. It is shown that it doesn't hurt your impressions if you use a scheduling tool, for example, but make sure that you are there when your post goes live. So what I usually do is I'm there for 15 to 30 minutes beforehand, then my post goes live, and then you stay on for 30 to 45 to even 60 minutes, depending on if there is a lot going on in your comment section. Posting and ghosting will not work. And I know that some people said, oh, but it worked for me. It might work one time or two times, but don't you want to be there for your people? When they start commenting on your stuff, you want to respond to those comments because someone has taken the time to read through your post and actually add a comment on it. So make sure that you then comment back on that one. You appreciate the comment. If it's a troll comment, for example, I would just comment back something very diplomatical. If it's a really bad troll, you can then just delete it and block that person. So don't be afraid of having people comment on your stuff because it actually increases your impressions. Here's another thing that I see often is that people are tagging loads of people and loads of companies in their post. And what happens then is that if they don't respond to your post, those people that you have tagged or the companies that you have tagged in your post, then that will send a signal to LinkedIn to say, well, this person is tagging loads of people. They just want to draw a lot of attention. So let's keep this post down, right? If you tag someone and there is a meaning behind tagging that person, not just to get their eyes or their audience's eyes on your content, then I would send the link to that post and say, hey, Josephine, for example, I tagged you in this post for this and this reason. Can you please comment on it so that you know the post takes off? For example, if you would take a print screen of this video, of this YouTube video, you create a post about it, and then you tag me, and then you let me know, and then I will absolutely comment on it, and I will even reshare it to my audience. And speaking of resharing someone else's post does not give you any additional credit. It's really good for the person that you're resharing. So you help them, But resharing someone else's post does not build your authority, doesn't make you be seen as an expert in your niche. So I would reshare only when you find that this is really valuable for my audience, or when some of your clients or someone who, for example, attended a speech that you were at, when they posted something about it, then absolutely reshare that. Hashtags on LinkedIn doesn't really work. They used to work before, but they don't work any longer. So using hashtags in your content actually doesn't do anything for your content. What some people do with their hashtags is that it's almost as a separate heading to draw the attention. But I wouldn't spend any time on researching hashtags on LinkedIn. They just don't work. What has also happened now is that your posts live longer. So it's important that you go back to your older posts, the ones that you posted before, and see if there are any new comments there. And then you add responses to those comments. And then that post will live even longer and the impressions will continue to grow too. And let's be clear, having loads of views on your post is actually vanity metrics. It doesn't count for anything. You can have a post with 300 views only and it leads to sales, whereas a post with 100,000 views might just attract the wrong audience. So don't chase going viral, rather focus on building an audience, an engaged audience with your people, and then you start connecting with them. Sending someone a direct message, by the way, increases the probability of that person to see your post, your next post, in their feed. So that is another little bit of a secret trick. And here's my last thought for you. Do not give up. It can take time. And continue posting, continue sharing content, continue connecting with people, continue DMing people, because it will work out. As long as you don't give up, it will work out. I hope you found this helpful. So give it a like and follow me, subscribe to my channel for more tips on LinkedIn growth and how to grow your online business.